And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs. I forgot, I was busy doing something. This is the Jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Happy episode 47. I don't know what is going on with my setup right now. I apologize for all the crinkling and crackling that this microphone is giving off. But everything is going to crap right now. Oh my goodness. Episode 47. Like I said, jobs podcast, business podcast for website cpluscomedy.com. Let's get right to something I want to talk about really quick. The Oscars. That is a very good hosting gig. And I'll tell you right now, if the Academy of Arts and Sciences, the film, I don't know. If the Film Academy wanted to sorry guys, I'm drunk. Wanted to take a chance on a little boy down in Atlanta, Georgia, 31. He's 31 years old and refers to himself as a little boy. I will be the one to do it. I'm saying this because John Mulaney and Jimmy Kimmel passed on the Oscars. And according to Deadline, when Kimmel passed, Mulaney was waiting to hear if Kimmel was going to do it. Crazy. I will host. I don't care what it takes. This is what I said this morning to myself, to nobody who heard me. At it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 4:00 in the morning when I saw that email. Yeah, because it came yesterday, and I was checking the C Plus Comedy email. I saw that story that both Kimmel and Mulaney have passed on it. I immediately said to myself, give it to me, Film Academy. I will fly out. Is their next March. They're on March 2nd. I will fly out to LA in February and just go around town shooting jokes out left and right at open mics. I would do spots, and then people would be like who is this guy? Who is this guy? Announce that I'm the host, and then I'll take down this whole industry. I want to do it. Let me host. Look at the people who have hosted the most. Bob Hope 19 times, Billy Crystal 9 times, Johnny Carson 5 times. All white guys. And then Whoopi's in there. He's Kimmel's tied with Jack Lemmon and Whoopi Goldberg for 4th most hosting duties. Imagine if I was in there. Mulaney hosted the Governors Awards in January. People really loved that. And he presented at the 96 Academy Awards, and people really loved that. And everybody was like, wouldn't it be great if this is Mulaney doing tryouts? He passed on it. I will take the torch. What better thing than to, interesting. Anyway, I just saw a story that's apparently 20 days old, and anyway. I'm just saying, give it to me. I was about to quote a song. Give it to me. Give me the funk, that Gucci stuff. We all know what that is. It's talking about marshmallows. All right, what's been going on with me? Well, I did an audition. I performed an audition for an audiobook, gay audiobook. And I believe I have it. I have it. The guy we talked yesterday, the guy and I, who wrote the book, and I'm reading the audio version of it. He was like, "All right, well, we're going to choose you." I have yet to receive the manuscript. It's through a legit operation. It's through Audible. I have yet to receive the manuscript, and the pay is royalty per share. There's 2 ways to get paid: royalty per share, or they pay by the hour, roughly like $50 to $100 per the hour, something like that. I don't really know. So this is a royalty share. You don't have the option. They either present either or. And then there's also if you're part of SAG, you can have part of your paycheck go to the SAG, whatever, but to the AFTRA health pay. I believe that's what they call it. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. Probably something. All right, let's move on. Well, that's a spoiler. I just saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't like seeing superhero movies, but I do like Deadpool kind of, and I really love the Fox X-Men movies. Controversy noted with Bryan Singer. So I wanted to close this out, and also let me tell you something. Things were happening in that movie. I had no clue what was going on. They're referencing other. This is it's so interesting. You know, you see an article and people write these articles and like, oh, you don't have to. You can just go in there blind. You don't have to see anything except for the first two Deadpools. No, you had to know what the Loki TV show was going on. They were like doing long looks on things that I had no clue about. Now the stuff they were referencing from, you know, prior to the Marvel universe. Oh man, I knew that like crazy. Oh, there's blah blah blah. Oh, that's blah blah blah. That's what I was saying. In the second row of my movie theater, by myself. Oh, there's at 9:00 in the morning. Oh, there's blah blah blah. Eating popcorn. Oh, there's blah blah blah. All right, this comes from Gene Mattis over at Variety. Writer earnings fell $600 million due to the strike and industry contraction, the WGA says. We're still reeling. People in the industry are still reeling from the strikes. People have lost jobs. Shows have been canceled. And it's almost as if the studio said, fine, we will bow to what you want, but we're going to have to get rid of a lot of things. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, a lot of middle stuff. $603 million were lost last year. That's about 32%, as the end of peak TV coincided with the 148-day strike by the Writers Guild of America. Writers' earnings reported for dues purposes dropped to $1.29 billion in 2023. Adjusted for inflation, that is the lowest level since the writer's strike in 2007-2008. Employment also fell by 19.5% to 5,501 working writers, the lowest numbers since 2014. I will say this. These are the lowest numbers, and I'm not defending these numbers at all. These are the lowest numbers. However, this is probably the most, I adjust those numbers, the 5,500 working writers, adjust those numbers for the variety of ways of television and film we have today. So that includes broadcast, cable, streaming, YouTube, Vimeo, I assume. I don't know. But then you also have to be a part of the union. So that 5,000, that 19.5%, and I'm not talking about the $1.2 billion. I'm talking about the 19.5% of the people that are working, that the employment that fell, that 5,501 working writers. I think that there's a difference between, those people who are a part of the union and then the others who work with other avenues of writing, other venues of writing that can be part of the union but aren't. Probably through dues. Okay. TV business shrank 14% from 600 shows in 2022 to 516 in 2023. This contraction of work is not something that we knew this was going to happen, especially I would say halfway through the strikes. But part of the reason, and the WGA even says this in an annual report, an employment report. Part of the reason this even happened is because the deals took so long to go through, specifically the writers' deal, which is now I'm reading now. resulted in a 5-month strike that ended once the companies agreed to address issues across the membership. And again, one of the biggest issues was AI, was the inclusion of AI and, writing scripts. Now it can just be used as a tool to help, but you also have to say, hey, we use AI as a tool. The previous strike lasted 100 days. The Guild reported a 15% decline in overall earnings in 2008. The dramatic 32% drop for 2023 will likely be revised next year to show a somewhat smaller decline, owing to a lag in dues reporting. The report also stated that writer employment reached an all-time high just before the strike, with 6,835 writers reporting income in 2022, 80% above the figure from 30 years ago. And in 2022, adjusted for inflation, writers earned $1.89 billion. Which, remember, 1.29 was earned in 2023. It's so hard to say 2000, and I don't know why I continue to do so. Another thing was that they fought for what was residuals after AI. They have graphs for this that are included in the employment, the WGA annual reports. Graphs and charts. Residuals hit a peak in 2022. I gotta stop saying that. That year, Netflix paid $62.5 million stemming from an arbitration case over residuals on the film Bird Box. Again, people had to fight for those residuals. Residuals are very important. If you don't know what residuals are, it's the after money that people who work on movies and TV shows get. And it basically stars, producers, director, and then all the way down the board to I don't know who gets residuals. I want to say maybe a derogatory phrase, above the line people. So producers, actors, all that stuff, all those people. But Netflix was one of the biggest proprietors of not paying proper residuals or paying residuals at all, because they don't see themselves as traditional television. But now they're in a place where they have to pay residuals, and the short of their new residual thing for Netflix in particular, for streaming in particular, is that they have to, or for Netflix, they have to pay residuals, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. However, they're going to pay residuals based on performance, I believe, and that is just a very small condensing of explanation of what that is. Of course, WGA West made hardship loans to members from the strike fund and the Good and Welfare Fund during the strike. The annual report shows the members owed $6.2 million to those funds as of March 31st. The WGA strike resulted in scale wage increases of 5%, 4%, and 3.5% over the 3-year term of the contract, as well as script fees for staff writers, for TV staff writers, full pension and health contributions for writing teams, and a guaranteed second draft for feature writers. The full pension is very interesting. I did not know that if you were part of a team, you did not get full pension and health contributions. Interesting. If you're part of a team, this is a small little thing. If you're part of a team, if you're a writing team, more often than not, and I'm saying more often as in 99% of the time, I assume 100% of the time, but I'm just saying 99% to be a jerk. If you're writing with a team, if it's you and one other person, and let's say the deal you sign with a TV show, they hire you as a team. The deal you sign with the TV show is worth $150,000. You're both going to get paid $75,000. Again, if it's $100,000, you're both going to get paid $50,000. If you're a writing team and you've been hired to write a movie and they're going to pay you $80,000, you're both going to get paid $40,000. That's crazy. They think you're one person. The union estimated the value of the deal at $233 million for each year of the contract, or $147 million more per year than the studio's final pre-strike offer. The deal also includes minimum staff sizes for TV shows not written by a solo writer and a measure to prevent AI-written material from reproducing writer's pay or credit. The union also wanted 50% residual bonus for the most watched made-for-streaming TV shows. So that's it. 50% residual bonus. So that was based on scale. This contraction, all of this needs to work in some way. After 2007, 2008, we saw a shrinkage sort of for the industry, and then it bounced back, and then streaming really entered the fray. I've been my Netflix account has been active since 2007, actually since 2006, because we were getting DVDs in the mail, because my mom was like, I'm not going to take you to Blockbuster all the time. So we're getting DVDs in the mail. And then they introduced streaming in like 2007, 2008 with House of Cards. And then Hulu was the best it ever was. When it was owned by Fox, Disney, CBS, and the rest, and NBC. When it was owned by the broadcasters, it was free. I had that since day one. So I've had Netflix and I've had Hulu since day one. And to see them, especially Netflix, just boom, they need to pay creatives. And I'm not saying that because I am in this position. They need to pay their creatives so that people want to continually work with them. People do want to work with Netflix, but unless you're one of the big names, unless you're Shonda Rhimes or Ryan Murphy, they're not going to pay you what you deserve. And Netflix is a good business, but that's what it is. It's a business before it's an entertainment platform. They don't care if your show is good. They don't care if it's bad. They just care about how it performs. And if you want people to make good or bad, good. If you want people to make good things, I'm saying this with quotes. If you want people to make good things, good shows, good movies, good stand-up plays, concert films, stand-up concert films, and regular concert films. If you want people to do these things, then you're going to have to pay them well. Money is a great incentive. And there are plenty of people. Why do you think we see comedians now leaving Netflix for the likes of Hulu and Amazon Prime to put out their specials? I'm not saying that their shows are going to be made on those platforms, but Hulu is making strides in half-hour comedies. But, however, they also more contractions. But comedians are saying, hey, Netflix, Ted Sarandos only cares about Dave Chappelle. He only cares about Chris Rock. He only cares about these bigger people. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to shine on Hulu because people can probably have a Hulu and a Disney Plus account, and now you can access it and anywhere. You can watch Hulu on Disney Plus, and then you can watch my special. Jim Gaffigan's now on. Oh God, he's on Hulu or Prime. He's on one of those. Anyway, biggest comedian, one of the biggest comedians in the world. All right, this last one comes from Lynette Rice, written on Deadline. Hollywood's mental health crisis: how job losses are impacting industry executives as LinkedIn is labeled a pit of despair. I believe this story was from last week, and I held it for this week. The Deadline is doing a series of reports on mental health, and this one particularly points to LinkedIn, and I believe it's true because I follow a lot of people I worked with at Cartoon Network and CNN, less so CNN because I could give a shit less about those people, but I follow those people, and to see the people who hired me and my supervisors just unable to find jobs, and people who are roughly my age unable to find positions, and they're talented and they're smart. It is just it's heartbreaking and it stinks. I mean, even for me, yes, it's heartbreaking for me to not be able to get a job, but to see smart people can't get one. And people who've been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years can't land one. It's you saw it with the writers. You see it with movies and TV shows. Less things are being made, especially if they're IP, then yeah, they're gonna get made. It stinks. It just stinks. I can't find the words to say it. But you see people on LinkedIn all the time posting about like how they can't find work, or how they can't. I know when I post that, people don't give a hoot, whatever. Someone else posted. They get 70,000 likes. They get job offers in the comment section. I'm like, what the heck did I do? I could post the same thing. They all write the same. A highly experienced but unemployed suit who, like the other execs, asked Deadline not to use the name for fear of impact the job search, said the daily barrage of headlines about contraction in Hollywood don't do his psyche any favors. With the state's employment development department reporting losses of more than, this is California, 12,000 entertainment jobs from May 2023 to May 2024, coupled with threats of even more layoffs at Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Disney, help wanted signs are not exactly plastered all over the studios these days. And it's just, we're seeing Warner's going to lay off staffers at CNN ahead of their, or I think they already did, ahead of the new subscription launch for whatever that's going to be for CNN subscription. Hopefully they don't call it CNN Plus. You see where that got us. When Disney bought Fox, 9,000 plus people lost their jobs. When Discovery bought Warner Brothers, thousands and thousands. I would probably venture to say at this point, I'm just going to throw a number out there. Probably 15,000 people lost their jobs. I would guess. I know it was more than Disney. I remember when that 9,000 number, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, crazy when that was happening. I thought I could never get any worse than that. And then Discovery bought Warner Brothers. But it's just, it's unfortunate we have to rely on staples, on tent poles like Twisters and Deadpool and Wolverine and those are two movies I saw in the past 5 days at theaters. To make people go to theaters so that Marvel can make some money, so that they can, or Disney can make some money, so that they could even put out smaller things that can not survive but live on Disney Plus or on Hulu or whatever. It's just, what are these people? What are people around us supposed to do if now what was once a place where things were being gate kept, and then sometimes a lot of people were let in and they would be accepting of other things, and then felt like gatekeeping again. What's to happen when this keeps yo-yoing in the same directions over and over again? If the strikes were good and this is to mirror 2007, 2008, and things get better, are we to believe that in a couple of months, because things move fast now, but in a couple of months or maybe a year, things are going to get even better than they were before? I don't think that's the case. And we're seeing a lot of people just struggle. And I'm not a mental health guy, but we're seeing a lot of people struggle. And in that, I don't think that is. Just look at my views on Peloton. I love Peloton. I subscribe to it. I still have stock in it. I have a lot of thoughts about how we can make that company better, and it does involve stepping off soapboxes. But it's just, I don't need to do sprints and think about sad. Anyway, just saying. It's just a lot of people. When I go on LinkedIn and I see somebody I might not necessarily follow them, but they are followed by, some recruiter from Paramount, and the recruiter from Paramount comments on a post that is more or less along the lines of, I've been at work for 8 months. I've been at work for 8 months, and now we're having to move, and it's tough, and I've gone through 200 job applications, and I've gone outside of the industry, and nobody wants to take a bite. That's how I feel all the time, and that's how a lot of people feel, no matter what level they're on. It's just a big, and I'm gonna read a quote here. It's an acute level of uncertainty. Yeah. And we don't know what's going to happen next. So how are people supposed to avert this? I think, especially seeing I get these deadline articles sent to my email all the time, and seeing them work on this series, The Hollywood's Mental Health Crisis. And again, I don't believe mental health is real. But I do believe that it is up to the guilds. It's up to, has the music been playing the entire time? Oh my God, the theme song's been playing the entire time. Thank goodness I turned it off. I turned off the input. But if the guilds can do healthcare, if SAG has amazing healthcare, then let's work with the mental health care too. And I can only assume that since they have amazing health care, they can also help with mental health services as well. Same thing for the WJ, for the producers, for the directors. And in the same spirit, let's do this for everybody in the industry. Yes, mental health things and all that stuff is good for everybody in the world. But I'm saying for people that work in the industry, especially in places like New York and LA, who are struggling to get by, if we can have services that can place them into jobs, or we have unions and guilds who can place them into jobs, then wouldn't it be wonderful if we had companies that are strictly entertainment based, funded through entertainment, funded through SAG, funded through the WGA, funded through the Academy, funded through the Tonys, whatever, the Grammys, all that stuff. Just a couple of companies where people can go and say, I need help, and I'm sad, or I'm mad, or I'm unhappy that I don't have a job, and in the industry that I love, the industry that I gave my blood and sweat and tears for. Wouldn't it be great to have something like that? I'm not a person who believes in mental health, so I'm not the person to start this. The more I say it, the more it sounds like insane. Like if you're on a dating app and somebody's like, I don't believe in mental health, I think it's overused. It is overused. However, there's times I believe it, and this is a time I believe it. It's kind of like ghosts, ghosts do exist, but I don't see any right now, so I don't believe in them. There's so many spoilers for Deadpool and Wolverine just sitting on the trending sections of websites. Thank goodness I don't spend time just looking at on the internet. All right. We'll have to get these started. Listen. If you like what you heard here, head to website cpluscomedy.com, where you can see a video version of this. Nope, that's not how I do it. I got a text. Quite frankly, I got a text. I looked down. I started reading it, and then I forgot what I had to say. If you like what you heard here, and I pray to God you do, if you like what you heard, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. You can also see a video version of this show on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. It's too loud. If you also want to see video versions of the other shows, The Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news podcast, and LinkedIn Logs, which is the late night show. Both podcasts, youtube.com/cpluscomedy in video form, or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at C Plus Comedy. Follow me on those platforms at Chad Black White.